Okay, this is the last video that covers our semester exam review, second semester, and I will be going through problems 61 through 80. And as always, come see me if you have any questions about anything. Multiply using the rule for finding the product of the sum and differences of two terms. Okay, that product rule, this is A minus B times A plus B. This is what I'm reminding you of, and that's equal to A squared minus B squared. So when you think of this, that's 6x quantity squared minus 1 squared, and that equals 36x squared minus 1. So our answer is C. Find the product. This is the other pattern that we've talked about, and that would be A minus B quantity squared, which is square the first term, keep the sign, multiply the terms together times 2, and then square the last term. So this is going to be x squared minus 2 times x times 7 plus 7 squared. So that's x squared minus 14x plus 49. So your answer is D. Again, those might be two things that you want to write on your note card, make things easier. Factor out the greatest common factor. You're looking for the largest number that goes into both of those, and that is 2. And you're thinking about dividing each of these terms by 2. So those 2's go away, leaving you with x. The sign doesn't change, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we should have 2 times the quantity of x minus 2, which is D. 64. Okay, this is our common factor. This quantity of 5x plus 6. So we take it out. Hopefully you can see that what's left is x minus 5. So our answer is A. Kind of missed that there. All right, 65. Factor the trinomial or state that it's prime. Okay. If you're not a factoring genius now, you can always go backwards and do FOIL on each of these. Okay. X times x is x squared, so those all qualify. Minus 24 is gotten from doing the last terms. Negative 4 times negative 6 does not equal negative 24. Negative 4 times positive 1 does not equal negative 24. These two, 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. X times x is x squared. This is positive 4x, and this is minus 6x. Does that give me negative 2x? It does, so my answer is B. If it did not, then my answer would be D. It would be prime, because that's not one of your choices. Okay, next one. Again, x and x. I need to get negative 35, so that's negative 35. That's negative, oh, they're all negative 35. Now I need the middle one to be minus x. Well, this is minus 5x, and this is plus 7x. Okay, that doesn't work. That doesn't give me 1x. Okay, same thing here. This is just positive 5x and negative 7x. So that doesn't work. And of course, this is negative 35x and x. And that doesn't give it to me. So my answer is A. Okay, continuing. Factor the difference of two squares. So that's the one that I just did earlier. What is that, right? It's just like number 61. Okay, so you're just going backwards with that. So the difference of two squares comes out to two terms that are what we call conjugates because they look exactly the same except for one is a positive and one's a negative. So your answer there is going to be C. Factor the perfect square trinomial. That's your PST that we've talked about. And that is a clue, okay? If it says a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, so if you have three terms and I tell you it's a PST, then it factors to two terms, a plus b quantity squared, which knocks that one out. And so you're looking between these two. What is the square root of 144x squared? Hopefully you know that's 12x, not x. And the minus, if that's a minus, then this is a minus. If that second term's a minus, then inside's a minus, so we're good, and the square root of 1 is 1. So you're good there. Factor completely or state that the polynomial is prime. So when you have two terms, again, you can multiply these out, but let's look at this. If you have two terms, you're looking for the greatest common factor. So does 8 go into 648? That would be the first thing to try. So 648 divided by 8 is 81. So I'm going to take out an 8. They both have an x, so I'm taking out an 8x. And if you don't know, it's either going to be 8x or 8 according to the answers. If it's 8x, that leaves me with x squared minus 81. Okay, well that's not it. So it's one of these two. Can this become that? It is. That's the difference of two squares, x plus 9, x minus 9. So your answer is A. All right, 70. Again, look at all your answers before you do something like this. These have 4 taken out. Does 4 go into each of these numbers? And it does. So if I take a 4 out, that gives me x squared minus 7x minus 18. Okay, which is right there. Okay, so it's clearly not that one and clearly not that one. But I have to decide between these two. So you've got to figure out, does this factor to that? Well, x times x is x squared. Positive 2 and negative 9 is negative 18. Okay, plus 2x minus 9x, that's minus 9x. That's 2x. And together that gives me minus 7x. So my answer is going to be A. Okay, two terms. They are both perfect squares, but they have a plus sign. And if they have a plus sign instead of a minus, then those two terms cannot be factored. So that would be an example of prime. Okay, might write that example down so you'll remember it. Okay. All right. Solve the equation by the method of your choice. Simplify the solutions if possible. If I see something equal to 121, that's a perfect square. Okay. And if that's a perfect square, then I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and that gives me 2x minus 1 equals plus or minus 11. Okay. Some people might prefer 2x minus 1 equals 11, or 2x minus 1 equals negative 11. Now you can go plug these in to that right there, or you can plug it in right there and figure out which one works. Okay, they're giving you the solution set instead of writing it x equals. I'm going to go ahead and solve it, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And if I add 1 to move that over, 11 plus 1 is 12. And then divide by 2, so x equals 6 is one of my options. Knocks that one, and that one, and that one, and so my answer is B. If I did continue, this would be 2x equals negative 10 and x equals negative 5. Okay? X squared plus 4x equals 36. Now, when I look at all these answer choices, I see a radical in it, so the only thing that we've done with that would be the quadratic formula. So you would need to x squared plus 4x minus 36 equals 0. You do have to take that over. And so A equals 1, B equals 4, and C equals negative 36. So I'm going to run out of room here. Your quadratic formula. I'm going to say I can't put it in. All right. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times negative 36. And that is all over 2 times a. Okay, so when you put that in your calculator, you have 4 squared. And actually, the thing that messes people up, you got to remember that negative, because minus a negative is plus. So that's going to be, and if you put it in there just like that, you'll have it. So 16 plus 4 times 36 is 160. So this is giving me negative 4 plus or minus 160 over 2. And that becomes negative 4 plus or minus 4 square roots of 10 over 2. So which one of those is that? Hopefully you can see that's not B. Um, we got square root of 10, so I know it's not A, so it's one of these two. And the only difference is that has a plus 2 and this has a minus 2. So hopefully you can see that your answer has to be D. If you have any questions about that one, just come see me, please. Okay? All right, 74, determine if the parabola goes up or down. It goes up if A is greater than 0, and it goes down if A is less than 0. A equals -1, which is less than 0, so my parabola goes down. And no, the whole exam will not consist of those problems. Okay, so 75, find the x-intercepts. X-intercepts means y equals 0. Find the y-intercept, that means x equals 0 for the parabola whose equation is given. Um, x squared plus 20x plus 0. So my y-intercept is always that last number. So my y-intercept is 0. So that knocks that one out because he said I had no y-intercept. So now I have to decide if it has any x-intercepts. And x-intercepts say y is 0. So that means x squared plus 20x equals 0. And I'm trying to solve that for x. There's a common factor, x times x plus 20. So I set each factor equal to 0. X equals 0 or x plus 20 equals 0. And if I take 20 to the other side, I'm going to subtract, which means x is -20. So 0 and -20 gives me an answer of C. And we are on the home stretch. Find the vertex for the parabola whose equation is given. Another thing you might want on that formula card. The vertex of your parabola is -b over 2a for your x coordinate. Then we go back and we plug in -b over 2a. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to -8, and c is equal to -5, which I don't really need for this. So, but we're just getting that habit. So x squared, so I need to find -b over 2a. So negative b is -8 over 2 times a. Two negatives give me a positive. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I know I have a 4, so I can cross out A and C. And now I have to go plug in 4. So y equals 4 squared minus 8 times 4 minus 5. So that gives me 16 minus 32 minus 5, which is going to be D, -21. All right, 4 problems left. Graph this, okay? We did talk about, again, you always need to find the vertex of your parabola. You should know right away whether it goes up or down. So if it goes up, when you look at your choices, you get to ignore that one and you get to ignore that one. Okay? Now the next thing you need to do is what's your y-intercept? Well, this is plus 0. So that means it has to go through 0, 0. Do both of these go through 0, 0? They do. So sometimes that can eliminate, sometimes it doesn't. So the next thing you need to do is find -b over 2a. So -b over 2a is going to be, remember, a equals 1, b equals -2, c of course is 0. So negative b, which is -2 over 2 times 1. Two negatives equal a positive. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So x equals 1 is my x coordinate of my vertex. Does this have x equal to 1? It does. Does this have x equal to? It does not. So my answer is C. So this time you didn't even have to plug it back in. Okay? So it's just a shorter way of doing that problem. All right, 78. The cost of millions of dollars for a company to manufacture X thousand automobiles is given by the function. Find the number of automobiles that would produce the minimum cost. So if I want the number of automobiles, I'm looking for the X coordinate of my vertex because that always happens at, the max or min always happens at the vertex. I'll pause for 1 second. Okay, student left. So back to this problem. So we're looking for the X coordinate of our vertex, and As we just talked about, a is equal to 4, b is equal to negative 32, and the x-coordinate of my vertex is negative b over 2a. So that gives me negative 32 over 2 times 4. And that, of course, is 32 over 8, which is 4. So my answer is D. And two more, 79. Another graph, okay? Again, looking at it, A is negative 3. So you know the parabola goes down. So I can ignore that one. And that's all I can ignore from going up or down. The other thing we looked at quickly was to look at your y-intercept, okay, which is 0, negative 8, okay? So let's see if all those have 0, negative 8. That's 0, negative 8, 0, that looks like 0, negative 9. Um, and so, or it's 8, okay? So we'll go with that. And so now we need to go find the x-coordinate of that vertex, okay, that we've done multiple times in this last group. Negative b over 2a. A is negative 3, b is negative 6, c is negative 8. So negative b over 2a is, negative b is negative 6 over 2 times a. So I have 3 negatives, so hopefully you realize that means that answer is going to be negative because 2 of them make a positive. And 6 over 6 is 1. So x equals negative 1. And I'm going to see if I have to go further than that. That right there is x equals negative 1. That's not x equals negative 1, and that's not x equals negative 1. So I have my answer. It is A. So again, all we're doing is distinguishing which one matches the equation. Okay, last problem of our review. A person standing close to the edge on top of a 112-foot building throws a baseball vertically upward. The quadratic function models the ball's height above the ground, s sub t in feet, so the height is in feet, t seconds after it was thrown. How many seconds does it take the ball to finally hit the ground? So am I looking for the x-coordinate or the y-coordinate? This is the y-coordinate. That's the x-coordinate. So again, I just need the x-coordinate. X equals negative b over 2a. All right, a is negative 16, b is 64, and c is 112. Again, I don't need c. But it is negative b is 64, 2 times a is 16. So that gives me 64 over 32. Two negatives equal a positive, so my answer is A. And we're done, and I hope that you will come see me if you have any questions about how to use your calculator or how to do any of these problems.